my friends, Simon Miller here from yet another hotel room, although to be fair, it has been a while. Also, it's quite late at the moment because I am in Canada, so there's a time difference that does tie in on Sunday. I am wrestling for Ethan Page's Alpha One promotion. You can stream it live on YouTube, even if you can't come to the show, but you should still come to the show. Anyway, you can find all the details, subscribe, then you can watch me wrestle and go, ha ha, he sucks. Let's up those downs, which basically means we're going to review SmackDown. And the show did indeed start with Michael Cole saying, I am back on SmackDown, before he then goes back to Raw on January for Netflix. Then maybe eventually he'll come back to SmackDown. It's like being an orphan child. Shouldn't have said it. We also saw Giovanni Vinci arriving, which was a big deal because I assume he'd come all the way from Italy. And we saw Cody Rhodes signing some autographs because he's just the best person on the planet. It also meant that we could have a little bit of a recap from Bash in Berlin because, of course, Cody Rhodes did defeat Kevin Owens when the American Nightmare, soon to be name redacted, came to the ring. The crowd absolutely loved this too because they always do. Cody basically said, why can't we be friends? Which he also tied into KO. It's like a proud dad. He's like, didn't he do great at the pay-per-view premium live event? I mean, it's a shame he didn't win, but it's still a couple of thumbs up from me. He too then welcomed Michael Cole back, so I guess we should all do it. And listen, he has definitely learned a thing or two from KO, because he was like, man, why am I even standing here? I understand the wrestling rules. I'm going to be interrupted anyway. And then who came out to interrupt him? It was the Bloodline. And they're definitely a bunch of weirdos, because they must have just been waiting behind the curtain. So Sikoa did make a very good point. He's like, nobody wants to listen to you, Cody. In fact, let's go back to SummerSlam. I would have beaten you for the WWE title if it wasn't for those meddling kids or Roman Reigns. And again, you can make that point. Because Reigns really did stick his tribal chief butt into that. And at one point, he was advertised for this SmackDown, so I don't know what happened, when Cody at first seemed to agree with him. Oh, I didn't see that one coming. That wasn't on my bingo card, but it turned out he was pulling a fast one because he went, ha ha, not you, Mr. Sikoa. I think somebody does deserve a WWE title match, but it's Jacob Fatu. Oodle-lally. Cody also told Fatu to step up, which he literally did because he got on the apron when Solo turned to him like a dad and said, you get back down from there. I'm not having none of this. So I guess this was a tease for down the line when they do break up. On this episode of SmackDown, we got 3 of them from 3 different people. Now, Jacob did start shouting, I love you, Solo Sikoa, I love you, my tribal chief, so he's totally fine for the moment. And just as the Bloodline were about to kill Cody Rhodes, out came DIY, and out came the Street Profits, who have somehow sort of been nudged into all of this. I don't even think they wanted it. Nick Aldis then teleported in because he had to maintain order, but he also must have gone, man, I haven't done my job. I didn't book a main event. Then he saw all these 8 people in the ring and said, you know what? Just do an 8-man tag. The coolest thing though is that he did make Cody Rhodes versus Solo Sikoa official for next week, but damn it, we've got to have some fun here. So it's gonna go down in a steel cage. I tell you, I think this is going to be pretty good. And it is, of course, because SmackDown has now officially left Fox and is going back to the USA Network, which means we can just think about the last 5 years when Kofi Kingston got screwed out of his WWE title, or all the stuff with the dog food. You know what, let's never talk about it again. Seriously though, this was a solid opening segment and I am so excited for a cage match. Cody never misses when he's in the steel. Up. When SmackDown peaked, because Pretty Deadly said, well, we also have something for the debut of SmackDown on the USA Network, which is finally the finished version of Pretty Deadly the musical. I tell you, I'm gonna stay up. They were telling us to Tiffany Stratton, who I don't think cared at all when Nia Jax walked in. She didn't seem interested either. I was like, man, you guys do not see greatness staring you in the face. No, I was mostly worried though that last week it did seem like Tiffany Stratton was going to cash in her Money in the Bank when she was taking on Michin. And Tiffy was like, no, that's just Chelsea Green spreading those rumors. I would never do that to you. Made me laugh. She also asked Jax to be in her corner for her match. Nia was lying at first because it was Tiffany versus Bayley. And sure, our women's champion turned up eventually, but it took her like 8 minutes. Maybe she needed the bathroom. I was a little bit worried here because, of course, we are going to push Tiffany Stratton huge in 2024 and 2025. But Bayley, at least I thought, had to get the win here. And thank flubble sticks she did. We were actually really smart too because by the time Jax had come out, her grand plan did not work. So now, as I just told you, we are planting some more seeds. And probably within the next 6 months, Tiffy and Nia will break up. And you'll probably get a cash in to boot. Now, Bayley decided to mess up Stratton's hair to begin with and then tried to break her arm. It's like, all things considered, that's a pretty good combo. When you think about Tiffany Stratton's character, she probably found the hair thing more annoying. Stratton then saw Bales go to the top, so she pushed her off and hit a dropkick on the outside. When I kid you not, She got hit with the most powerful force in all of sports entertainment, the commercial break, but she survived it. We came back from the adverts, and Tiffany was still on top, and I was like, well, even the universe agrees she should get a puss. She's going to the moon. Tiffany eventually got her back spring elbow in there too, but I think she must have also accidentally leveled up Bayley's MP, because oh my gosh, she came back with this death clothesline, and yeah, I mean that literally, I thought she was dead. Stratton then remembered she had some hips, so she used those too as Bayley came back with a suplex and the big old elbow for a 1-2. That's when Nia must have been like, oh, gotta do what I said I was gonna do. I'll go to the ring. Of course, Bayley could not handle another human being outside of the ring, so she totally forgot she was in a match, which is when Tiffany Stratton hit the Alabama Slam. But yeah, it didn't really do anything. Because Bells was able to get the Bayley to belly, and smartly Tiffany welled out the ring, which allowed Bayley to hit a big old dive. But then they got back in the ring, and Nia Jax was trying to distract the referee, so even though Tiffany had the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment surprise roll-up, she wasn't able to get the 3, because again, Jax was being a nuisance. By the time she told her this, she turned around and Bayley hit her with the roast blood to get the 1-2-3. So yes, this was not a smooth victory, but sometimes you just need to put a W in a wrestler's win column. So I am going to give it up, but listen, we need to do more with Bayley. I know we made her the champion back at WrestleMania, but it never feels like we go all in properly. Though I'll also say I do very much enjoy this relationship between Nia and Tiff. So in terms of a segment, but it was good. Speaking of people falling out too, Kevin Owens then ran into Grayson Waller and Austin Theory. I think they've got about a week left. Now they thought it was hilarious that KO had lost at Bash in Berlin, although they made a very interesting point here. They were like, you must be annoyed. You didn't even go at the start of the show to help Cody. I was like, damn, he didn't. Owens then made sure he drove a wedge because he thinks these two guys are idiots, and if Grayson Waller and Austin Theory are such good friends, why don't we have a triple threat match later? And then I'm sure nothing will go bad here. I'll see you out there. Waller was absolutely thrilled because, of course, he saw it as a handicap match, but you have to take those words and put it in your brain. Like your shoelaces, it's gonna tie in. When we got another hilarious Legado del Fantasma segment. Listen, in case you're watching me and not the shows, these aren't meant to be funny, I'm just an idiot. Once again, they were just eating somewhere random, and Berto and Angel were so happy they won last week when Santos Escobar turned it to their dad. Like, man, you're happy because you got one victory? Did you win any titles? No, you did not. So once again, if I was them, I'd be like, man, I don't want to have dinner with you. It's also pretty rich coming from a guy that couldn't even become the US champion. When Santos went, well, thankfully, our plan is coming together. I was like, wait. Your plan was to not win the United States Championship and for Berto and Angel to get one win over Baron Corbin and Apollo Crews. Come here, Santos. That's a terrible plan. So obviously more is going to come out the other side of this. When, oh my gosh. Because after weeks of videos and being told that he comes from Italy, and it's going to be really good. I shouldn't do it. I know it's absolutely terrible. Giovanni Vinci did make his way to the ring for his brand new debut. And listen, we deliberately over-egged the pudding because someone had come up with a very interesting idea. He was indeed facing Apollo Crews. Because Giovanni keep wanting to celebrate, Apollo just stuck up behind him and hit the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment, the surprise roll-up. I'm not kidding you, he won in about 3 seconds. That's the shortest a match can go. Now here is the deal. On one hand, this one over here, I like this, because anything we can give to Apollo Crews is going to make me happy, and also on this one over here, it's also a positive thing. This is probably the more intriguing thing you could have done, because look, again, this ain't Apollo's fault, but he has been marginalized by WWE, so if Giovanni Vinci beats him, he would just be like, what difference does it make? However, my second point to all of this, and I rarely talk like this, so prepare yourself, I don't think it's going to work. So as we do have some grand plan for Vinci that is going to go all the way through to WrestleMania 41, all this is going to do is tell people, you know how you got excited for his debut, well you shouldn't have done that, and the character is already dead. And again, we've seen it time and time again. It takes about 2 weeks to heat somebody back up, but why are we calling him off to begin with? I think all you have to do is look at his old teammates Ludwig Kaiser and Gunther. They are just benefiting from simple old school strong booking. So listen, I'm getting like 4 weeks ahead of myself here, but sometimes I do feel it in my force being powers. That's not what Star Wars says, but I'm going to give it a down. I don't think this one is going to go where WWE hopes it's going to go. But listen, look into my eyes. I hope I am totally wrong. But seriously, we had like 6 weeks of vignettes and he did 9. Dosey Green and Michin then very much fell out with each other backstage because they both think the other one sucks. When Aldis teleported in and said, well, you know what? Again, got this big gap in my show. go out there and have a match. Well, I actually do have another personal down. I love Kevin Owens, and I think Grayson Waller and Austin Theory are very much underrated. But when this triple threat match started, I had this feeling of, have I seen this 72,999 times? Let me just look it up. And do you know when they first fell out? November 2023. I think we can just end this now. Down. The real joy, though, is that this did have two major reasons for existing. One, because Kevin Owens had suffered a big loss at the weekend. He just whooped both of these asses. But also two, again, unless I've gone totally crazy, next week, I think it's the end of A-Town Down Under. The big twist is that Austin eventually hit his rolling blockbuster thing when Grayson Waller tried to make the pin because he was going to steal one, when Austin was like, well, that's disgusting, and he dragged him off. So again, earlier Grayson had been like, well, we're going to be a team, and he's full of shit. Before all this too, Kevin Owens just throwing people through tables, so it was an absolute joy. But yeah, I mean, eventually Grayson and Austin were able to get back on the same page. But you know where that got them for their troubles? Kevin just grabbed them and he suplexed them all over the place. Then he was the guy to get up first when he was hit with a stunner, and my gosh, it may be the best sell of a stunner I've ever seen, and I mean that, I have to think about it, and Kevin Owens pinned them for the 1, 2, 3. Listen, afterwards, I don't think Austin Theory was very happy. Watch this space. Now listen, they did attack Kevin Owens afterwards because later on in the show they bumped into Nick Aldis and they were like, we want a tag team match with this man next week because he has no friends. If I was going to hazard a guess, Randy Orton will probably finally return to SmackDown after his little holiday on Raw. They will beat A-Town Down Under. Grayson Waller will turn on Austin Theory, and it's whoop bang, see you later. Now admittedly, I think you could have kept them together as a team for at least another year. But look, this was just 10 minutes of fun. I watch wrestling for fun. Don't watch wrestling to get annoyed. But they got two very interesting videos, because the first was to remind you, oh yeah, Andrade and Carmelo Hayes are having a real good feud right now. And two, WWE is leaving Fox, and man, we had a really good time. The cynical side of me was like, I think somebody wants to come back. This was a really nice package though, and afterwards Michael Cole even said how privileged he was to talk about things on network TV. I actually quite like this. It's nice that somebody was leaving somewhere and they were being nice, because there's not enough people in 2024 being nice. So I think this is something that all of wrestling should adopt. Just made me feel warm and fuzzy in my tum-tum. When we did indeed get some direction for the US title. His LA Knight came out to yet another deafening pop as he went, hey man, I've only held this belt 30 days. I've already had 2 defenses. Which makes me way better than that other stupid idiot that had it. He has now decided nobody can beat him, which is jumping the gun, when out came to dispute this the only Carmelo Hayes. So he knows the rule, and he also had some justification here, because he is in the midst of a feud with Andrade, but he won the last 2, which means he now has the momentum, so surely he should be the #1 contender for the US title. And Andrade came out and said, yes, this is true, but I won the first 2, so I should fight for the US title. I was like, man, why don't you all sit down and just have some grub? Knight also made sure to quip that these 2 guys just care about having the best match of the night, where he only cares about winning, when essentially it all broke down. They all had a big old fight when LA was like, listen, dudes, I'm the champ. I'm tired. I want to go to bed. And it hit the BFT on everybody. And man, Carmelo Hayes sold that like wonderfully. He also made sure he murked Andrade before this too. So like, man, I don't understand your Spanish, but I don't appreciate your tone. And there was something about this that just felt off to me. Maybe it was just a bit too long. That is me picking and clawing, and what I did like is the fact this Andrade and Carmelo Hayes feud that has come out of nowhere now has all the significance, because they too are going to have their 5th match next week. I do believe the winner of that will take on Mr. Knight. I'm also never going to get mad at a champion actually being booked like a champion. LA Knight felt totally in control here. He's just so over and popular with the crowd. But yes, we need to get our Google Maps out and get a direction soon. But up. When we did indeed have our Chelsea Green versus Michin match, I had a good time. Now I think this could have gone a little bit longer. It came and went so fast. Michin really kicked Chelsea's ass here, until of course Piper Niven on the outside was like, I've seen other people do things here, I'm going to do it too, and she cast distraction. At the same time, Michin was also struggling because she had all these damages from that street fight last week, and yeah, never forget that annihilator she took through the trash can. Even I'm having nightmares about it. Pretty sure Michael Cole also called them both former TNA Knockouts championships, so that relationship is stronger than ever. And yeah, basically, even though it didn't work first time, eventually they all split out to the outside of the ring. When Chelsea got back in the ring, she distracted the ref, so Piper Niven just crushed Michin. When she got back in the ring, Chelsea hit the unpretty her. 1, 2, 3. So I just like Chelsea Green winning matches because I find her so entertaining. The interesting part is if you do Michin versus Piper Niven, I kind of feel like Piper has to win Where does that leave Michin? But I am going to give this an up because once again, I'm just going to repeat myself. Chelsea Green is so damn entertaining. I mean, she'd have to come out with something really bad for me to give it a down. I suppose that's quite biased. Up. We then got reminded that women's tag team titles are a thing, and in Germany, Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill won them back. When we cut to Byron Saxton, he was with the two babyface tag teams. It was like, oh, can you coexist? I was like, Brian, man. Byron even, your name's not Brian. You're literally talking to them right now. They can coexist, because if they weren't able to coexist, one of them would have disappeared into the Phantom Zone. I would have gone, prodded them and gone, see, it's fine. We also kind of teased here that it's important to them because whoever picks up the pinfall could become the #1 contenders for the tag team titles, which was a little bit wishy-washy when B-Fab popped out from behind the Street Profits and basically went, yeah, I don't want to be that guy. I don't really think they work as a group. When we did get to this main event though, and yes, it was just very entertaining. Now, it certainly was a little bit odd because the fans just wanted Roman Reigns, which they weren't gonna get. And for a good 2 minutes, I tell you, the Street Profits and the DIY, they were cooking and it looked like they had the Bloodline's number. And they called it and they were missing a digit. Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano even spent some time chopping Tama Tonga. He just went, no. He tagged him Jacob Fatu, who honestly was back on top in about 3.2 seconds. This guy gonna be such a big star. He carried this on as Tommaso Ciampa got thrown around everywhere when eventually Solo Sikoa got the tag. He just hurled Tommaso into the announce table, which the referee didn't care about at all. It also triggered the most powerful force in all of sports entertainment, the commercial break, but for a second time, it didn't work at all. I was actually doing this with my face. Bloodline still made a terrible mistake because they tagged Jacob Fatu out of there. And we got the most strange thing ever. When Ciampa was able to get the hot tag to both Angelo Dawkins and Johnny Gargano, and even Michael Cole kind of started, it's like, well, I guess they're both the legal men. Once again, I was staring at my TV. I'm sorry, that's not a rule. These guys were working their asses off though, and eventually it just did lead to the tag klaxon going off so everybody could fight when we got a superplex off the top rope into the bodies on the outside. And I don't think we appreciate how dangerous that is. This is where Montez Ford remembered, oh yeah, we have to be in the ring to win the match, where he hit this amazing 450, and he did get the 1-2, but guess who broke it up? Jacob Fatu. Now, he literally dragged people to his corner so he could get the tag, and he was hitting Samoan drops, and he was hitting super kicks, and honestly, it's just like poetry in motion. Few do it better. He absolutely murdered Montez Ford with this impaler as well when he tagged in Solo Sikoa, who hit him with 2 spikes to teach him a lesson, and the Bloodline won. I thought it was kind of interesting that Ford took the pin here. What the hell are we doing with the Street Profits? It wasn't his night though, because the whole point of the end of SmackDown was to tell you, oh my gosh, not only are the Bloodline are a threat, but Solo Sikoa is losing that charge, so maybe, just maybe next week, he will be the WWE champion. You better watch us on USA Network, but I tell you now, he's not going to win that belt. And as you know, I just do like the new Bloodline. I'm actually quite a fan of Solo Sikoa. I think he plays the role very well, so I am going to give it an up. But I will leave you with a question, I guess one specific one, because we've already talked about the Street Profits. What do we do with them? And what do we do with DIY? It does kind of feel like they're playing second fiddle. But I thought it was a decent episode of SmackDown, so I shall give it an up. But mostly, yes, it was just looking to the future. But that's what's going to happen over the next few months. SmackDown is back on USA. Raw is obviously going to Netflix. Roman Reigns will probably pop his bed back on the show next week. That ain't no bad thing. Now, please do like the video, share the video, and subscribe, and leave a comment below to let me know what you thought about SmackDown. Click the video on the screen, which is ups and downs for AEW, to get my AEW reviews. Otherwise, have a great day, my friends. I'll see you soon.